Hi guys, welcome to Andaaz. Andaaz is an inspirational show brought to you from the United States. And every week we talk to fabulous guests from around the country. This week we have a very unique topic. It's all about reincarnation. Many of us believe that we've lived many lives, but we're unable to prove it. I recently met a doctor, Dr. Walter Semkiw, who is scientifically proving reincarnation through facial recognition, as well as taking a look at what your career path was in your past life and this life and seeing if there's a match and finding out what your purpose is for this life. We sit down and we have a chat with Walter Semkiw and Kevin Ryerson and hear about their journey into our past. Let's go take a look.
We were all created at once according to Atun Ray, just right after the Big Bang.
I said, you mean I was John Adams? And they said, this is true. At the time, you know, I thought it was totally ridiculous.
Do you understand?
Hi Walter, hi Kevin, welcome to the show.
Greetings.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And just a little bit of background for our viewers. You've written 2 books on reincarnation, Born Again and the Origin of the Soul and the Purpose of Reincarnation.
Correct.
How did you get into this work, Walter?
On a lark, I went to a medium back in 1984, and I was told about a couple of past lifetimes, but I really didn't believe it. At the time, I didn't really believe in psychics. And 12 years later, I was on business in Hawaii, and in the middle of the day, a booming voice in my head told me to study one of the lifetimes that I was told about in 1984. And it was a total shock. You know, I mean, I'm a medical doctor. I don't have hallucinations. I never experienced anything like this before. But I took it seriously and I started to research this lifetime during the American Revolution.
You had been telling me about some children that remembered their past lives.
Right. Children spontaneously remember past lives and give enough information that they can locate the past life family. And once they reunite the child with the past life family, the child can identify the relatives by name, no family secrets, nobody else knows, and has enough information or knows enough that the past life family actually accepts the child as their reincarnation of their deceased loved one. And Stevenson studied about 1,200 children where these past lives could be objectively validated.
I told my mother that my name was not really Barbro, it was Anne.
Barbara was born in 1954 in Sweden to a Christian family. And they had no idea who Anne Frank was because the diary of Anne Frank had not yet been translated and published in Sweden.
I know my name was Anne Frank, but they insist calling me on Barbro. And my parents insisted me to call them Mom and Pa, and I knew they were not my real parents. And I came into that house. It was the most horrifying feeling I have ever had. I was back to my dreams. I recognized everything I had seen ever since I was a little child.
Hanan Mansour was born in the 1930s in Lebanon, had 3 kids. After the 3rd child, she developed heart valve problems, had surgery, died the next day. 10 days later, Suzanne Ghanem was born. When she was a toddler, she would take the phone off the hook and ask for Layla. Well, the family didn't know anybody named Layla. So they said, who's Layla? And she said, that was my daughter from a past lifetime. And indeed, Hanan Mansour's daughter was named Layla, and that's who she was trying to call prior to surgery. And within a year, she named 13 relatives by name. She was reunited with the Mansour family, identified all these individuals by name without ever meeting them before. And even her husband, who was a policeman, who was very skeptical about this, came to believe that this little girl is the reincarnation of his dead wife because he could show her pictures of them at social events, parties, and she could name their friends. Well, Stevenson studied her back in the 1960s and documented all this, so it's a solved case. In 1998, he returned to Lebanon with a reporter from the Washington Post who was writing a book about Stevenson. And they found that Suzanne, who's now a full-grown adult, looks exactly the same as she did in her lifetime as Hanan Mansour. There are multiple independently researched cases that I stumbled upon, discovered along my research of reincarnation that showed the same phenomenon, that people look the same, they have the same personality traits, the same talents, passions, and in the future it may be possible that we can even prove reincarnation using some kind of biochemical measure.
Wow, that's interesting how the facial features come back.
I believe that the way it works is the soul projects an energy template into the developing fetus. And it also is what explains child prodigies. The soul not only provides the energy template that influences appearance, but it also can download information, talents, abilities that were earned in past lives.
From there you took your research further. And along the way, you met Kevin.
I was afraid to come out publicly. You know, I'm a medical doctor. I don't want to get fired because people think I'm crazy because I'm running around saying I was this person in a past lifetime. So I was looking around for a psychic or medium who could demonstrate the ability to make accurate past life matches. I started to work with Kevin and found through experience that Kevin channels a spirit guide named Atun Ray, who appeared to have the ability to make accurate matches, where he would tell me who somebody was in a past lifetime. And what really impressed me is that Atun Ray could give me specific information, and then through diligent research that took a lot of effort, I could locate the person and found that it was a match physically, the same face, the same personality. Oftentimes people did the same sort of work or profession. So it really was through repeated demonstrations that he could do this that made me accept that Atun Ray has this ability.
I just can't wait to talk to Atun Ray later on in the episode, but when did you discover, or how did you discover that you were able to do this?
So I joined a meditation group, and it was in that meditation group that a spontaneous channeling occurred. Now, because these people had experience, they had the presence of mind to record the channeling that occurred, and they asked questions about things that I had no knowledge of. Later on, there was a physician who asked some questions about medical case histories, and it was from those series of conversations that it was established that there was this capacity to work with channeling.
Later on in the episode, we're going to actually channel Atun Ray.
Okay.
And I have a lot of questions for him. We'll be back for more of that, so our viewers have to stay tuned for that. Wow. Well, I just can't wait to talk to Atun Ray later on. Kevin Ryerson is actually going to channel him live here. But next we talk to Usha Ji, our spiritual advisor, and she goes into Justine's past life. Let's go take a look.
Hi, I'm Usha, your spiritual guide. Today we have Justine here, looking to get some answers.
Hi Usha Ji, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. How can I help you?
Why is it important to have a past life reading?
In many ways, it'll help you understand who you are today, what your potential is, and why certain things drive you, why you behave in a certain manner. Many times it helps people get over addictions because they realize what happened in a past life is affecting them today. It can have a very huge impact, and sometimes it's just the joy of knowing that you are an old soul.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready.
Should I ask you on air how old you are? All right. So the first lifetime that I kept seeing was that you're coming from a male birth. So you were a very strong male, and in this lifetime you must feel that, you know what, your thinking is not very feminine, I want to say, even though you're gorgeous, and it brings in a lot of experience. It shows that many things that you want to do, you feel that there is no challenge, and that's why it must have been difficult for you in school which field to take. I saw that you were like a carpenter. Then I saw that you were also a business person, you know, and I saw that poetry inspired you. So you did write poetry in that life. So here you must be very practical with your hands. So do you do anything practical?
Everything.
You see, so you're jack of all trades, but you're Jill of all trades then. Too, before that, I didn't see that you'd lived a full life. So that means you must have died as a child. So that impacts you thinking always you're out of time, you're running, you're trying to catch up with stuff. So you have a sense of incompletion within you.
I completely agree.
All right, before that, then I saw two female lives. And in one, I saw that you were a grandmother. So you had a large family, you lived a full long life, but you were also like the village wise woman. Do friends come to you for advice?
Oh my gosh, all the time.
All the time.
Too often, maybe.
So you see how that lifetime is impacting in this lifetime.
You know me too well.
Oh dear, now everybody here will also know you very well.
The world knows me.
In this lifetime, you have a long life. It should give you a sense of balance in this life. So when you feel that, you know what, I really don't know if I just want to specialize in one field only, because part of you from that jack of all trades thing is like it's too limiting, it'll be too boring. So you're always looking for new horizons, you know, so that'll help you understand that you're a whole person and that you can be potentially anyone or anything you want because you have a long life in this lifetime.
Well, I appreciate it so much.
You are
that
so
was
welcome.
so insightful. Thank you, Usha Ji.
You're very welcome.
Andaaz, brought to you by Intellius. Live in the know. Visit www.intellius.com. Usha Ji, your spiritual advisor. Call now or visit ushaji.org. Trivium Corporate Solutions, for the life of your business. triviumcs.com.
So we're going to call in Atun Ray.
Okay.
And you're channeling him. So I guess for our viewers, describe the process of what you're about to go through.
Channeling is a form of meditation, is the best way to look at it. It is the ability to tap into one level of consciousness and allow it to express through. All channels have done is train themselves to use those kinds of abilities to allow what's called a spirit guide or teacher to speak through, communicate, and respond to your inquiries. So I would describe it as a meditative state.
Yes, do I give you a few minutes to channel or?
Yes, you know, it's just a matter of a few minutes. Practice makes perfect. I've been working with channeling now for 40 plus years, so quite a while.
Okay, well, fantastic.
I'll go ahead and go out, as I put it, and we'll put you in touch with Spirit.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Hale, do you have questions you'd care to ask at this time?
Yes.
Proceed with question.
Well, hello, Atun. It's nice to, I've heard a lot about you and nice to talk to you.
Instrument responds to his own name, John as such. If you wish to speak as so with Atun, pause, consciousness is our to speak.
I am the being called Atun Ray, and I would come to speak with you.
So my first question to you is, why do you channel through Kevin and come to speak to the human world?
First of all, I would like to point out that in speaking to the human world, I myself am human. Do you understand? I am teasing you. Okay. I am simply a being who existed in what you would call Egypt about the time period of the pharaoh you call Akhenaten. And if you will, being human like yourself, one would have a natural interest into the world that human beings are living. And we feel at times in speaking, it is possible to maybe improve the life of a person who may be asking questions about their spiritual nature. Plus, there are some who are spirit who may plan to incarnate again someday, and they would like to have a better world in which to return. And for the moment, you are the persons who are entrusted with the well-being of that world they may wish to incarnate into someday.
Why do we come back?
So in each incarnation, you grow from the lessons you learn from karma, but in each incarnation, through the service, through the abilities, through the talents that you may have, you may also improve the quality of your life and those around you.
How do we know what our purpose is for this life?
Well, your purpose is usually twofold. One, you have a larger purpose to understand yourself that you are a spiritual being. You are here to experience the material world, but to make it better. But you are also here to discover your dharma, your talents, your abilities, and you can do this at times by saying, what is it I am good at? What is a service?
So with reincarnation, how many times do we come back?
Sometimes you say that I am an old soul with great pride, but that can also mean that you are something of a slow learner.
Oh.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so therefore I would say on average a person maybe incarnates about 65 to 75 incarnations.
Why is it that currently in this day and age, there's a lot of awareness on these topics? Like you're speaking now in the past, like since 2001 through Kevin. And in general, people are becoming more spiritually aware. They're becoming aware of reincarnation. What are we supposed to learn collectively as a society right now?
You are learning this now because it is a time of crisis. There are more souls on the planet than there have ever been before, and people believe in scarcity. And yet, there is great abundance. When people come together and they pray and they meditate, you know, whole nations are swept away. People came together and prayed and meditated, and what you called the Soviet Union, you know, vanished. People come to pray and meditate, and all dictators are swept away. But what must come into that vacuum is this new spirit, this new spirituality. Then humanity becomes united. The great prosperity begins to spread to all, and a new humanity begins to emerge. Why? Because once you have learned that you have lived before and you might become that other person, you wish to secure that future for the well-being of humanity in general. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah.
We must go now. It has been well to speak with you. I hope we have been a benefit.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Good. The gods and goddesses that were once many, then became one, may these look after you. Hello? How are you doing?
So how do you feel now? Do you remember anything?
Yeah, immediately after coming out of the channeling state, I have a vague recall of some of the dialogue, but in about an hour from now or something, it'll be completely lost. Again, it's comparable to daydreaming.
Well, that's interesting. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. I mean, this was just fascinating.
Well, great. I'm glad you enjoyed.
I'm blown away.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Like I said, treat it like an adventure.
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful.
Andaaz, brought to you by Intellius. Live in the know. Visit www.intellius.com. Usha Ji, your spiritual advisor. Call now or visit ushaji.org. Trivium Corporate Solutions, for the life of your business. triviumcs.com.
Well, that was pretty neat, wasn't it? I mean, I actually got to talk to a spirit here, live on our show. I loved how he kept asking me if I understood. Sometimes I kind of didn't, but that's okay. And I love how we live 65 lifetimes. Pretty amazing. And next we sit down with Walter Semkiw, and he talks to us about the purpose and mission behind his work. Let's go take a look.
During that time, we've now collected over 2,500 cases of these young children who are making these claims. So then our task becomes trying to sort out what is this? What is causing kids to say this? And one way to test this is to see if what the child says actually matches a particular person who lived and died in the past.
So I want to wrap up the show talking about the mission behind your work and why you are so passionate about doing this.
Evidence of reincarnation not only helps solve one of the great mysteries of life, does our consciousness survive, what happens after death, but what's really striking to me is that there's ample evidence that show that from lifetime to lifetime we can change religion, nationality, and ethnic affiliation.
Yeah, so you have a case.
Yeah, Mushar Ali. And Mushar Ali was a Muslim who lived in Lahore in India in Uttar Pradesh. His father was Haider Ali, and his father was a very religious man, a Muslim, and he devoted his life to praying for others. And as it happened, that meant that Mushar Ali, his son, became the primary breadwinner for the family. And he would make a living for them by selling vegetables and fruits at different markets. When he was 25 years old, he rented a horse cart to sell mangoes at a market. And 2 miles out of town, he was tragically struck by a tractor. And he incurred rib fractures on the right side and died pretty much instantly. About a year later, a fellow named Naresh Sumar was born about a few miles away from where Mushar Ali lived. And he was born with a depression on his chest on the right side. And when he was 1 year old, he kept referring to Lakori, the place where Mushar Ali had lived. And he started to talk about a horse cart. In fact, as a child, toddler, he would bring a rug out and tie ropes to it, and he would pretend that he was driving a horse cart. When he was a little older, he started to pray in the Muslim style. His family was very surprised because they were Hindu. He was born into a Hindu family. When he was about 4 years old, he told them that he had a past lifetime as a Muslim, and that he had been taking mangoes to a market using a horse cart, and he was struck by some kind of vehicle and killed. Coincidentally, Haider Ali would come into the town where Naresh lived once a week to do the praying for others and collecting alms. And one day at 4 years of age or so, Naresh sees Haider Ali and recognizes him as his father, and even called him Abba, meaning father. And he would follow him all around town and would ask him, please take me home to Lakori. And Haider Ali, being a Muslim, wanted nothing to do with this. You know, get away from me, kid, you bother me. Anyway, so the child, though, kept being insistent and said, take me to Lakori. And so the mother finally relented and thought, I'll ask Haider Ali for help. I mean, he's a Muslim, he's from Lakori. And again, Haider Ali wanted nothing to do with this and said, send the kid to this shrine with a Muslim saint and pray that he stops talking about this past life. Well, it didn't work, and he kept talking about it. So finally, they took him to Lakori, and he's like 4 or 5 years old. They come into the village, and he leads them straight to Haider Ali's house, without directions, without clues.
Wow.
Inside, he identifies family members of the Ali family by name. He identifies possessions that Mushar Ali had, and it was all correct.
So I guess the message behind your work then is that we all come back as other religions. So really we're all one.
Yeah, the prior show I talked about the Anne Frank case, who was persecuted as a Jew, reincarnated as a Christian. Barbara not only had the memories, she also replicated the talent of Anne Frank and was a child prodigy writer.
It was everything from poetry to little stories, thoughts about the higher power, reincarnation, where we came from, where we were going, but nothing that I had memories from being Anne Frank or anything, because I had decided not to talk about it anymore.
And her first book became the best-selling prose book in Swedish history. And guess what? Barbro has the same face as Anne Frank. If the Nazis knew you could be born Jewish in one lifetime and Christian in another, the Holocaust could never have happened. So when you really accept reincarnation, it really makes you live your life differently. And rather than saying, I'm a Jew, or I'm a Muslim, or I'm an American, or whatever, I'm a universal soul.
That's so true. Well, I love how we are all a universal soul, and I congratulate you on your work and wish you all the best.
Well, thank you
Walter.
for helping out.
You know, Walter, I wish you all the best in life. I just love your mission of how we can come back into different religions. And so what's the purpose of fighting? We're all one and we're all united after all. Well, next we hear from Justine, who's going to talk to us about her reading with Usha Ji. And I'll see you all next week.
Hi guys, I've got to tell you, I had such a great experience working with Usha Ji on my past life. It was so interesting to me because I've never had somebody look into my past life or read my palm or look at any other type of horoscope of mine. So it was very interesting, and I think a lot of it resonates with who I am. And now for our social media update of the week, check out Facebook and find a picture of me looking just like this, and comment with who you think you were in your past life. I'll pick my favorite answer, and the winner will receive a signed book of Walter Semkiw's Born Again. Also, be sure to check us out on Twitter, where you can have a one-on-one interview with Walter Semkiw. That's right, you get to ask the questions. Now let's get a tip of the week from Vivek Vadva. See you next week, right here on Andaaz.
You know, I don't know if I'm going to be reincarnated or not. I don't know if I've been reincarnated before. But one thing I know for sure is that there's something called karma. What you give is what you get. What I found is that by giving more, I've gained more. The more I've given, the more I've gained. The world has always rewarded me. It isn't like Hinduism where you get rewards in future lifetimes. What I realized is that you get the rewards in the same lifetime. That the more good you do, the more rewards you gain. Reincarnation, true or false, who knows? Karma and responsibility are real. And it's time to start giving back to the world.
Andaaz, brought to you by Intellius. Live in the know. Visit www.intellius.com. Usha Ji, your spiritual advisor. Call now or visit ushaji.org. Trivium Corporate Solutions, for the life of your business. triviumcs.com.